Welcome to episode 11 of Rogue Mode 0 to 40 in Flight of Nova. Excuse me. We're at pilot grade 14. Let me see if my controller is connected, and we are out at Gaba Station. So, N31 planet. There are actually other planets in the game, but at the present moment, you have to fly out to them from this planet. So you can accelerate using the propellant that's available in the game, and then you can drift for, I don't know, like a day or 3 days or something like that. And I just can't be bothered trying to let the game run for 3 days to see if I was accurate, and then you gotta try to land without saving. Or you could try to... Alright, here we are. What's my ship? I'm in the freighter. Gaba Station will have local missions. But if I just go to base 136, I get 3 bars. Base 12 is far. Gaba Station is a 758. Is there another station really close? Yeah, Palmas. Let me look for a Palmas mission. No, mine 841. Station Palmas. So if I can get to Palmas, there's a good mission. And Palmas is not that far away. So actually what I need to do is I need to change ships in the dock bay. Oh, I like the shuttle so much better than the KLM EX5, but I like the KLM EX5 for the performance. The flight performance is much better, but I'll take the shuttle. You know, I like the instrumentation of the shuttle a little better. And now that I'm got 1,000 kilometers, let me see here. Alright, Palmas is gradually approaching. So what I want to do is I want to see if there's any local mission. Let me see if I can do a local Gaba Station mission. Oh, Biscometer. Okay, so to kill some time, all of these missions, not that one. These missions right here both end and begin at Gaba Station. And they're short. All I do is fly here. Alright, so here I am. So I need to fly 3.5 kilometers away. Yeah, and Palmas is gradually getting closer, and so we'll just try to fly some of these Gaba Station local missions for a little bit until Palmas is like, we're like 300 kilometers away. And then it'll be a really short trip to go to Palmas Station. So if I get 2 or maybe 1 to 3 missions in, I'll be pretty happy. And that'll inch us closer so that that big mission that we're going to get from Palmas will be just a little bit more, little bit more valuable than if we just flew straight over there. coming into Dockport 21. Yeah, these local missions at the space stations are really cool. Now, I a little bit wish that you weren't just flying back and forth at the one space station. Although, you know, having a space station full of hallways might be a little bit less realistic than one that is just modules that you would have to go through the center of the module to go back and forth. So, actually flying something from one side of a space station to another might not be that terribly unrealistic. Pick up this visometer. Alright, going back 3.5 kilometers away. Deliver the visometer. Oh, checking the distance to Palmas. Palmas is still a good 800 kilometers away. I think we got another mission in us. Let me clean this inbox. Now, picking up those nanofiber cables. Are any of these more difficult? No. Nanofiber cables. There goes Palmas Station, gradually getting closer, 750 kilometers away. So that was about 150 kilometers closer that it got whilst we were performing that local mission. Picking up the nanofiber cables. Hopefully they give us a dockport destination. I'm getting sick of all these docking pads. Deliver cargo. Where is the cargo being delivered to? Actually, I can't tell if we need to go outside. I think we need to go out and around. So the majority of the space station missions are still dock pad missions, and I think this is just because it is perceived that because they are easier, they're more popular. Or they will be more popular. It's just a lot less frustrating to try to dock to a docking pad if you are going to struggle as a beginner. And it's still gratifying. hours. And indeed, it's a docking pad. It's weird because I'm perfectly coordinated to switch between inverted and not inverted in first person view because I've played that a lot. I don't play third person view games. For most of my life, as kind of a general rule, I don't play third person games. Well, I didn't play that much games for most of my life. But so even though while I'm looking through the cockpit, my controls are wired up for up means up in my brain, because I played third person view for, I don't know, must have been 40 hours of gameplay for the last series for this game, all in third person camera, which I never did before. The whole thing is pretty much inside of the planet's atmosphere, where I play inverted in the planet's atmosphere, just like a plane, you pull back to pull up. So even though I'm in space and in the cockpit, I'm really never confused, and up is up, and I'm never confused. When I switch to third person view, level 15. Alright, let's check the distance. To Palmas is still 600 kilometers away. Looks like we can keep doing these. Oh, I don't want to go to the sky barge. Let me clean the inbox. But we do want to do this guiding system. I wish there was a way to know if it's a dockport mission. I guess there's not, but... Oh, but we did get lucky, because it's only 1.4 kilometers away. But it's not a dock port, it's just a dock pad. See, like, so once I switch to third person view, for some reason my brain makes my thumb move the other direction, because I spent so much time only playing atmospheric third person view. It's like I don't know that. It's like if I switch to the cockpit, then I do it correctly, so mysteriously. And then as soon as I switch to third person, now my brain switches my controls. It's the weirdest thing. Give me a dock port. That doesn't look like a dock port either. Yeah, I'm just generally bummed that there's not any dock port missions. Oh, that was a randomly excellent alignment. Dock pad. Wah, wah. I missed. Alright, where's Palmas now? What's the distance? So from 750 to 450, that should be about 300 is the closest approach. So Palmas is still 476. Alright, so it's still okay because actually it can get past me. And how many more Gaba Station local missions did I end up scoring? 1, 2. Let's do one more. I just really want to get a Dockport mission. 2.1 kilometers away. But a Dockport mission it is not. So that's a general disappointment. You know, one of my major justifications for playing the game has ever been access to docking port as gameplay. So, of course, I'm going to highly doubt that this will be a dock port. Yeah, don't call it docking when it's landing, you know what I'm saying? Am I right? Ah, I will be docking to a dock port. So we did get one mission here that is a respectable mission, you know? A space game, you know, out here in space. No, actually, I think that in a situation where the station is the scale that this station is, I mean, this is an enormous station. Actually, maybe it makes sense that there will be landing pads. But the amount of materials involved in a landing pad, just being a pad for the sake of being a pad, you're still talking about, I mean, unless the surface of your station is inherently better engineered to be that stuff. What the hell? Talk about a lot of erroneous input. Alright, what's the distance to Palma Station? 356. That's as close as it's gonna get. So do I do the final mission, hoping for a dockport mission? Because if it gets a little further away, that's okay. Alright. Let me just try to use the cockpit and just try to go as quickly as possible. You know, it's quite a bit quicker to fly around when you can actually see what's going on. Burn a bit of propellant. Make this mission go by a little more quickly. And it ain't as much to watch, but it's quite a bit easier to fly like that. Becca Station's looking pretty close as well. Sometimes the strength of the thrust doesn't align with what I imagine. Like, sometimes I feel like it's stronger and weaker. Like, it's stronger, and then it gets weaker, and then it gets stronger again. And it doesn't make sense. It's not consistent. Could just be an optical illusion because you have velocity when you don't know that. So sometimes I feel like the amount of acceleration that you have is not consistent. Now, I would have much preferred a docking port and a docking pad. Because now from here on out I gotta go catch Palmas. And that's a shame that I gotta catch Palmas after landing at a pad. I mean, it's just bad form. There is a dock port right over there that I could just go to snag it anyway. Just be like, nah, fuck that. I'm gonna hit a dock port before I go, even if Palmas gets a little further away. There's one right there. I might just do that. Can't be bothered letting the game take me for a ride like that. Taking away all my good gameplay. Because somebody else won't like it. I mean, that's just right out. Unbearable. Alright, there's the dock port right there. Just grab this dock port. And then we will depart respectably, you know, from a dock port to transfer from one station to the next to grab that 5-bar mission, which will bring us to a reasonable distance from level 15, I think. Unless we're already level 15. Oh, it'll bring us closer and closer to level 16, and level 16 is not that far away from level 20, and level 20 is halfway there. Crash. My finger slipped off the control. No, that's not what happened. I was looking at something else. I wasn't paying attention. I was thinking about the docking approach and how the video game doesn't look like reality. And the result of that is maybe in a camera you get the same effect, but you know, one thing that happens when you look at images is your depth perception gets all goofed up. So for example, you might have an experience where you saw one of those memes or something where the Tupperware is like upside down, and then like all of a sudden the Tupperware is like not upside down anymore, or something like that. And so what happens with the video game is you think you need to go to the left, like your mind sees the depth perception change in the way that means go to the left. But because you're perceiving a bowl as an out or something like that, it's actually backwards. And so I find that I'm just always going backwards. Like every time. I cannot ever move the right direction first while approaching a docking port. It's 0 times. Like 100% of the time I'm seeing in reverse. And I don't know why that is, but I think that might be Palmas right there. Let's kind of let ourselves get away from this dock port. Is that Palmas Station? Palmas 458. Alright, we're gonna go catch that Palmas 458. Now it's moving away from us at 168 meters per second. We're gonna rectify that presently. There goes Gaba Station. Gaba Station. Look how big that station is. Which is orbiting at 750 kilometers altitude. And we're just going to chase down Palmas. It's only a couple hundred kilometers away. We will actually not even get to where we can't see our relative velocity from either station. And you can see that the relative velocity with Gaba Station is actually a little bit different than the relative velocity of Palmas Station. So that RV number is very helpful because we are in orbit. Alright, at this distance, this 3 kilometers per second, that's about as fast as I want to really go. I don't want to be speed wobbling and overshooting and stuff like that, you know? We do want to see if we have any undesirable motion, but I think at this rate we just want to get within 80 kilometers and then correct from there. Okay, we way overshot that. My plan was not very good. I need better plans next time. Now we're going to be chasing it down like this. Wherever it is. There it is. That's okay. Luckily, we weren't blasting at interplanetary velocities, and the correction is not too terribly dramatic. Oh, come on. Alright. Successful transfer from one space station to another. Orbital transfer. Orbital station Palmas. Alright, that is no good. That's just not what I want to do. Go to 3 bars. I want Psionic Crystal for 5 bars. Alright, now we just gotta go grab this Psionic Crystal, which is right here. Now we need to reach planet surface at long -172. Alright, wrong button. Oh no. -153. -172. Alright. I think nothing is close. Oh, -163. That's the closest one. You know, what do we got going on here? Gava Station is pretty close. Hayden Station is getting closer. Becca Station is getting further away. I think I'm gonna chase down one of these stations, either Becca or Hayden, and wait there, because then I have the 188 altitude to approach. And I'm gonna do the slowdown maneuver. I'm gonna go ahead and go for the station that's getting closer to me. Where is it? There's Hayden Station right there. Now, I could just full reverse and go fly over there. That wouldn't take that particularly long, but re-entry is cool. Re-entry is not as cool as transferring from one space station to another. I much prefer transferring from one station to another over going back to the planet. I would probably play the game just entirely in space and never go to a planet if those missions were available, at least for a lot of the time. So because I can go to a space station instead, that's the most likely thing that I'll choose to do. The other thing to remember is it's my birthday tomorrow, and when I say I'd rather go to a space station, it's my birthday, so we should go to a space station, you know? I don't want to lose that much altitude here. So now Hayden is 800 kilometers away, so let me get lined up to the east. And I'm gonna have to get ready to burn hard to the east for a rendezvous. And we'll be losing altitude, but I'm only 200 kilometers high. So it'll be kind of a multi-step approach rather than flying straight down at it. I'm gonna be more like catching up to it and then gradually flying down to it. But that does change the distance. If I'm opposite of at least 150 kilometers altitude, 200 kilometers altitude, I don't really want to wait till it's 200 kilometers away, because I won't be lining up to it then. But at a little under 400 kilometers away, if I start burning to the east, I think that'll be what works out for me. And I can even burn down a little bit at that point. Minus 10. Alright, here we go. So, burning to catch Hayden Station. Hayden Station is a very nice station nowadays. I even missed the boat on it, where I knew that there was dock ports, and then I forgot, and then I forgot, and then I didn't play and go to Hayden Station, and then I forgot. But Hayden Station had, one point in time, only had dock ports available, dock pads available, and it has been since updated to have many dock ports. So that means that I do expect that and Greenhouse got a similar update. So I do kind of expect that. Alright, what's my velocity here? I think I'm flying right at it right now. I do kind of expect that mine A41 will get some kind of update, at least grab a couple of dock ports on there that are available for the player to approach and dock to. Although it is possible that the developer would like to save mine A41 as it is, because mine A41 is one of the tutorial space stations, where that's where you find that's where you do your first space flying in the early missions. And as a result of that, maybe there's some relevance to having a nostalgia factor. Alright, now I need to get lined up and hit my engine as quickly as possible, because I'm definitely going to be blowing past this bad boy. Where's that space station? Did I already pass that altitude? Unbelievable. There it is. So I'm flying all over the place when I'm trying to dock. I'm flying all over the place when I'm trying to fly from space station to space station. I can't imagine how re-entry is going to go. But that's okay. We're having a nice cup of coffee. I got some candy. Yeah, giving it the speed wobble. For anyone who may have watched many of my videos in the series, you will know that this is the first time in any of the series where I've double wobbled trying to approach the station. So definitely a loose, clumsy day, to say the least. Now, some people would say, well, I just would rather fly into those dock pads inside of that enclosed dock area inside of the rock. But I want to go to the docking port, as it were. So I'll just let this approach go down. And there's one dock port I see. Oh, is that a closer one? It is. I'll just go to this nearest dock port. Here we are, gradually approaching. Maybe we need to approach a little bit less gradually. Wrong button. We want to try to figure out how we can get within 2,400 or so kilometers of our destination. Oh man, we already have and the re-entry windows are not particularly helpful. So we do not want to go to this re-entry window, and the target distance is not ticked down in time skip. So here's this yellow bar up here. We want this to be around here, I think. And hopefully we'll be able to watch this number while we're getting closer and closer. But we can just watch this yellow bar up here, get over to here first. We can even slow down the time accel. Play with camera view. I don't like that camera view. Too blinky. Oh, geez. Right there. Undock. Alrighty then. that's pretty accurate. So now we're going to go for our negative 10 FPA, which we have achieved. Now we're going to go ahead and burn for our, of course, dogleg correction. Which we have achieved, and now we're going to line up for our re-entry FPA burn. Alright, and we're going to try to go for about a negative 5.8, just under negative 6 FPA at about 90 kilometers altitude. And we're going to burn right about now. Now we just kind of wait, and you'll see our velocity is starting to tick down from that air resistance, and we'll just try to keep as vertical of an as a posture as we can right now. And you can see that the friction is overpowering our RCS and dragging us down into a forward lean. And then you can see that our FPA is starting to track upwards as we are using lift to change our vector. And then once our vector is going to level off, which isn't that far away, and you'll see we're going to be leveling off around 53 kilometers altitude, which is exactly what I would hope to achieve. Alright, so here we are. We're going for a 0 FPA. And at that point, then what we want to do is we just want to use our trim. We're a little warm. It's okay, we'll just use our trim to try to keep our FPA constant around 0. And that should also gradually shed our velocity. And without the dogleg, I have landed above 90% propellant. And I don't know, let's see. We'll see how close we get to 16. The shuttle version is the most fun to re-enter for me because it's the one I've re-entered the most. I used to only play the shuttle, and even when the freighter got added to the game, I just didn't care for the freighter. I just wanted to fly the shuttle and fly the shuttle and fly the shuttle. And then the KLM EX5 had been added to the game, and I still wasn't as excited about the freighter. Even then, I mean, the freighter has necessary missions, and there's some things that are really fun about it. You know, you get to fly in a couple of ways that the shuttle just doesn't get to fly, since you do have the cargo and it gets really heavy, and there's just some things that are fun about it, but it never changes. I just like the shuttle so much more. The KLM is fun, the EX5, because it's very powerful and it can take a ton of heat, and you can just be totally reckless, and it's really something. But just the amount of lift and the amount of friction and the rates of rotation and the rate of acceleration of the shuttle, it's just a very fun, easy vehicle. I'm gonna have to go ahead and give it a power turn here. I'm gonna overshoot otherwise. The hard part is that switching from one vehicle to the next, actually your re-entry profile changes quite a bit. This is gonna be really hot. And I'm gonna overshoot a little bit. Alright, it's gonna get really hot. I better cool it down and just let myself overshoot. I'll take damage. Okay, silver. I don't want to do that. Although it's only 1,000 kilometers away, and then it'll put me on 16 for sure. Man, totally missed that boat. All right, so I could. It's getting farther away. Getting further away. Oh! Gamba Station is approaching. I could catch that. Did I make... No. I'm gonna catch Gamba Station. If I catch Gamba Station... I'm just gonna go straight to orbit. Well, actually... Yeah, let's just go straight to orbit. I need to fly east, due south a little bit. I'll be able to correct while I'm on the way. I mean, it's not going to be a problem to try to correct. Alright, where's Gamba Station? Yeah, 1,800 kilometers away. I mean, I might be on a correct approach right now. 758. So I'll just get to my 758 parabola. That's my lat is due north. Yeah, so I'll just set my apoapsis at 758, go for normal, and see what happens. I mean, I'll have plenty of fuel to make up for the difference. So, if I miss a little bit, because I'm not sure exactly what the target distance is. The target latitude of the station should be when I'm trying to catch it at a 50-degree approach. I'm just not really exactly sure where that is. But I think it's going to be right around here. I mean, 1400, I mean, I can't imagine it's going to be that far outside of the normal window. There goes Alkin. Should have caught Alkin first and then just hopped from Alkin to Gaba. And then the mission that I'll be looking for. I'm not even sure where it's going to go. Somewhere. What's my status? Where's Gaba Station? Still quite a ways away. Everything that says to go to a land base, I typically delete, but I'll save it for now. This one does go to Alkin. I'll save it for now. I wonder what the distance is gonna be, because I may need to kind of recover a little bit. Like I may get to the top and then fall down, so I may need to do some silly burns a little bit, but I do have another 250 kilometers of altitude left to gain. So it looks like I'm gonna be right in the right place. Or if anything, playing a little bit of catch up, which is perfectly okay. Back to Gaba Station. .634. I'm gonna try to catch it right now. So I just want to line up to a reasonable approach right now. I just want to kind of catch up to orbital velocity here, and then I'm going to approach after that, because I did miss. I was a little bit late to depart. And the other thing too is, it's looking like I need to do something about my eccentricity. Look at that. I mean, that's pretty good. That was pretty lucky. I'll just let that one line up and then take it from there. All right, throttle on. There we go. Now we need to identify where we're gonna dock, which I could do by accepting that mission, but I'm worried about. Now we'll just accept the mission. Pick up the Trevista booster? No. Oh, pick up the Trevista. Well, we were gonna get emitter S3, but I have an hour. So if we go and grab this Trevista booster, I bet you we got time to do that. So let's just do that first. And look at that, a dock port. I mean, how do you win? Or I think it's a dock port. Christ almighty. So we couldn't have done this any better. I mean, we could have done this a little better, but couldn't have selected missions any better. That was a close one. It's a lot of different things to try to watch at once. Oh, a dock port that's only 0.6 kilometers away. I think it's a setup. That was the most random, unusual mission. I don't even have to change my alignment. But it'll put me nicely within that 55-minute window to try to accept and reach the first dock location of the big mission. Let's find this big mission. Here's the big mission. 5 kilometers on dock. To a dock pad, but at least we got them 2 dock ports, you know, before we had to go do this 48 minutes away mission. We could have done another mission. We could have requested some local missions before that timer ran out. But that's okay. They'll probably just all be landing pads anyway. Alright, Triana. Nice. Triana has a re-entry window. Oh my goodness. We're getting further away from Triana. So we're in at 7:58. We have plenty of fuel. So what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna just backburn. You know, I've had enough of this time skipping. Let's get out of here. And we'll just flip and burn, like full reverse. Go back the whole other direction. Just re-enter in a westward trajectory. There goes Gamba Station, drifting off into the distance. Let me get all sorted out over here. So we're burning and burning and burning and burning. But we're going to have to approach a near zero velocity, and then we're going to be going back the other direction, probably fully up to orbital velocity at that point. But we are halfway through the first half of the burn. Alright, we are now accelerating in the westward direction. You can see our vector is starting to track below us. We are now approaching 5,000 meters per second in the desired direction of travel. We're still above half of our propellant. I'm gonna probably feel inclined to start killing some of our descent velocity now. Really want to be moving at a negative FPA. Alright, that's about an orbital velocity. We're at 320 kilometers altitude. So from here we are going to need to burn vertical once we start to get a little bit lower. Negative 21 FPA, it's going to drop a little bit. And we're going to have to burn pretty hard to kill any of that because we are moving at a pretty good click. So I'm going to let us drop down to about 150, I think. Before I really do any... Well, I'm going to change it at about 200. Because I don't want to dip into the atmosphere until the right time. We're still a good 400 kilometers away from where I want to dip. So I kind of want to, around here, I want to be at a negative 10. Or not even a negative 10. Still too early for a negative 10. So let's do a negative 5. Because we're quite low, we will be dropping. Let's see if this floats us in from here. We're gonna go and hopefully this will just float us in from here. Because that's about half the drop. Normally we would undock. We're about halfway there. We would go about double the FPA. So we might just drop right in perfectly from here. Wish this camera didn't. So video game cameras are so annoying. And what's going on is the same problem I'm having with my video game, and it's called gimbal lock. So in order to prevent what's called gimbal lock, which is this thing where relative rotations get wonky, then the game just doesn't, it just puts hard stops when the camera would move into an area where giving it a positive or a negative change would make it behave all funny. So that's why the camera's always moving around, because once it gets to a 180 or a 0 or a 270 on one of these axes, and they had to choose which one, and the game developers had to, the Unity engine developers just basically selected the one that they thought would be the least problematic. I'm sure AI will ultimately solve all of this, because AI will make a lot of programming a lot simpler, because it will do the more complicated programming just kind of for you. Alright, so we are a long ways out. So I kind of want to be having a higher altitude here. So I don't mind over trimming. And I think after this mission, I'm looking at the clock now, I'm not paying attention, you know, it's a Saturday. I'm having Hershey's Kisses and Rolo Bits for breakfast. No wonder I can't fly right. So, probably call that a video. Kind of missing here. Crash. Kind of missed. That mountain came out of nowhere. That was a close one. That was a legit close one. Now this will get us to 16 for sure. I mean, this will get us into 16. Oh yeah, 5-bar mission. Alright, that's gonna be it for this episode 11. Thank you very much.